do possess an integrated intelligence. Here's what you can do with it. What are the limits of the human mind? Futurist Ray Kurzweil has spoken about the singularity, the grand or terrifying moment in history when the machines finally become smarter than us, and when the smart gap just keeps growing and growing until we humans to the machines are as mosquitoes to Albert Einstein. The positive scenario is where we humans become masters to the super AI, while the dystopian version is where we are slaves to the machine. But what if we humans already possess intelligence potentials that are off the scales, even relative to the mechanistic marvels of today? What if we don't need a single machine to activate those smarts? Based on my 3 decades of research and personal exploration of the frontiers of mind and working with extraordinary people, I believe that we do possess such intelligence. And in this video, I'm going to reveal 7 mental capacities that everyone, including you and I, potentially possess, but rarely or never use. 4, mainstream science has failed to recognize the coming of that other singularity, the moment when we realize that human consciousness is not confined to the brain and body, but is embedded within non-local fields of information. We are already connected to a cosmic supercomputer. We just have to learn how to activate it. This kind of smartness is what I call integrated intelligence. And as a futurist, I've been writing and talking about it for years. But this is not a new idea and has been present in many cultures and philosophies throughout history, including the indigenous, Eastern, Romantic, and New Age cultures. And it's a common theme in many sci-fi and science fantasy books and movies like Star Wars, Dune, and The Sixth Sense. Further, the field of parapsychology has been conducting experiments in this area for well over a century. But in this video, I'm not going to explore that scientific evidence, which is hotly debated. Instead, I'm going to share the 7 key modalities and 2 outcomes of using integrated intelligence. These are the things that people, possibly even you, can do with our latent human mental abilities. And I'm going to share real-life examples of each. Now, before I define integrated intelligence, we should ask what intelligence itself is. Academics and scientists have argued about this for millennia, but I simply define intelligence as the mental ability which allows you to successfully solve problems in specific circumstances. It's from this definition of intelligence that I define integrated intelligence as the ability to draw on the extended mind and all its intuitive capacities to function successfully and solve problems. In turn, the extended mind is consciousness that extends beyond the individual's brain and connects us with the environment, other consciousness fields, and transcendent realms. So, in a nutshell, integrated intelligence is using all the abilities of the mind, including the so-called psychic capacities, I hate that term, to help you live life as you want. Integrated intelligence is perfectly compatible with the rational functions of mind, I believe, because both the intuitive and the logical have their valid uses. So, what are the 7 cognitive functions that integrated intelligence potentially enables? Number 1, connection. This is the ability to sense the connections or relationships between and amongst things. Connection actually has many forms and is probably not a single cognitive process. For example, it includes higher order enlightenment experiences where an individual's sense of self expands beyond the immediate body. A classic example comes from Maurice Bucke's book, Cosmic Consciousness, published in 1905, where he reported a profound mystical experience. He wrote, "I was losing my consciousness, my identity. I was powerless to hold myself. Now came a period of rapture so intense that the universe stood still, as if amazed at the unutterable majesty of the spectacle. In that same wonderful moment of what might be called supernatural bliss came illumination. What joy when I saw there was no break in the chain, not a link left out, everything in its time and place. Worlds, systems, all blended in one harmonious whole. Universal light, synonymous with universal love. Now, connection isn't always so cosmic and life-changing. More mundane forms occur when we suddenly intuit the connection between ideas, thoughts, people, events, behaviors, and so on. Number 2, location. This is the capacity to sense where things are without ever having prior conscious information. This can occur through a feeling, or it might be visual in nature. About 18 months ago, for example, our beloved cat, Barshi, went missing. My wife and I spent a couple of hours searching everywhere. Then at 11 p.m., I told my wife I had to go to bed, as I had to get up early to go to work the next day. She said she would continue to search for the cat. So I went to the bedroom, but felt guilty. I couldn't just let Barshi amble around, lost at night. So I decided to meditate. I sat on the bed, closed my eyes, and allowed myself to fall into a deeply relaxed state by breathing into my body. An image came to me. I saw the walking paths around our building appear as fuzzy dark lines, but the path leading away from the right-hand side of the building were thickest, as if being emphasized. And at the end, that dark line split into a fork. I had a strong sense that Barshi was somewhere near that fork. So I headed outside and went to that exact location and stopped where I felt a strong urge to halt. There immediately came 2 meows from the low bushes to my left. So I shined my iPhone torchlight in that direction. Sure enough, it was Barshi. I quickly grabbed him and took the big fella home. Number 3, diagnosis. Diagnosis is the ability to intuitively sense the cause of problems and perhaps their solutions. A friend of mine who worked for steel giant BHP some years back reported that he used his intuition to solve issues related to repairing machinery. Rather than trying to rationally analyze why a machine had broken down, he would often just stop and allow the answer to come to him. He claimed he could do this anywhere and referred to an incident when he was on a boat and the engine stopped. He told the boat owner what he felt was wrong, and as soon as the problem was investigated, his hunch was proven to be correct. Number 4, recognition. Recognition is being able to intimately know somebody or something without ever being told about them or it. In Autobiography of a Yogi, Paramahansa Yogananda tells a story from his childhood. One day he was walking along the street and saw a yogi, an Indian holy man, walking towards him. He was filled with a deep and immediate knowing that this yogi was to be his master. He fell to his feet and was full of tears. This began a student-teacher relationship which lasted many years, till the yogi's death. In fact, it lasted even longer than that, for according to Yogananda, he was able to communicate with his master in spirit form. Number 5, Foresense. When you sense what is going to happen in the future, this is Foresense. Foresense often occurs in dreams or meditations, when people report seeing something that later comes true. However, it may be developed via intuitive feelings, or what I call the feeling sense. In 2014, I had a dream that spooked me deeply. In this dream, I found myself looking from a train window at a pub across the road. There I saw an old street sign hanging outside the bar. It read, Stuart Wilde Pub. Now, Stuart Wilde was one of my favourite spiritual teachers and a great influence on my life. Then I peered closer and saw that someone had scrawled, Stu dead, on the sign. I felt great sadness. Then I heard someone say, Is it true? A little boy's voice returned. Yes, he had a heart attack. There was a sense of sadness and emptiness, as when somebody dies or leaves. I woke and wrote down the dream in my diary, but then forgot about it. Even when Stuart Wilde died 6 days later of a heart attack, and I heard the news, I failed to recall the dream. But I stumbled across the diary entry a month later. Number 5, evaluation. This involves being able to intuitively determine the wisdom or value of different options and choices. In my book, Discover Your Soul Template, I tell the story of a very long and protracted meeting at a school in Hong Kong where I worked, and where the teachers and administrators had sat through a tedious 4-hour meeting listening to representatives of textbook companies give their pitches. The purpose was to decide which of the 4 texts to buy for the students for the coming semester. After a couple of hours and almost falling asleep, I projected my feelings forward and into the 4 piles of books on the large table before us. I felt the energy of the 4 options and felt immediately that there was only one real choice. One of the piles of books just seemed to emanate a kind of vibrancy. There was another torturous meeting the following week before the admin team finally chose that same book. I wasn't there, by the way. Number 7, inspiration. This term refers to creative knowledge and ideas that come to you from non-local or spiritual sources, not your conscious mind. Many creators, artists, writers, and even scientists have reported being guided by inspiration that is beyond their conscious volition. 16th century Italian cleric Bruno had a powerful vision which shaped his decision to leave the church and push for ecclesiastical reform. In the dream, Bruno experienced himself leaving his body and flying out into the cosmos. There he felt he personally witnessed the limitless nature of the cosmos. What he experienced convinced him that Copernicus was right, positing the sun at the center of the universe. Bruno's dream came as follows, as he said or wrote, "I spread confident wings to space and soared towards the infinite, leaving far behind me what others strained to see from a distance. Here, there was no up, no down, no edge, no center. I saw that the sun was just another star, and the stars were other suns, each escorted by other earths, like our own. The revelation of this immensity was like falling in love." Now that's what I call one unfeasibly accurate revelation of the nature of the cosmos. Now, there are also 2 outcomes which often result from the regular and successful application of integrated intelligence. These are wisdom and personal transformation. These can lead to a core shift, lifting you towards greater wisdom and intelligence, and creating a more evolved expression of consciousness. This may cause a shift within your entire being and your sense of life and self. It can help you embody your authentic self. So that, in a nutshell, is integrated intelligence. Now, there's lots of details I've left out here, including why integrated intelligence is more developed in some people than others, why it may not always be reliable, and why it can actually lead to delusional thinking. But I shall leave those points for later episodes of Power and Presence. So, don't forget to like and subscribe. You won't find integrated intelligence tested on any intelligence tests anytime soon, but it has been around for thousands of years. The good news, though, is that it's not going away anytime soon. And there's never been a better time to get smart with your integrated intelligence. Think about that. See you again in the futures.